You know, we always think of high intelligence as this huge advantage, right? But today, we're going to look at the other side of that coin. We're talking about the psychological weight, that really profound sense of isolation that can come from having a mind that's, well, just wired a little differently.
And really, the whole thing boils down to this one question. I mean, have you ever felt like your own thoughts kind of set you apart from everyone else? Like you're just operating on a totally different wavelength? If you have, then you're going to know exactly what we're about to get into.
Okay, so let's start from the outside looking in. It's something you hear a lot, right? That really smart people can sometimes feel intimidating. And that perception, it can put up a wall before a real conversation even gets a chance to start. But here's the thing, and this is so important to get. It is almost never intentional. It's not some kind of personality flaw, and it's definitely not someone trying to act superior. It's usually just a side effect of a few specific ways the brain works, which we're going to break down right now. So, to really get what's going on here, we have to look under the hood at the mental processes at play. We're going to explore 3 key traits that can accidentally lead to that feeling of intimidation, starting with how a highly active mind connects the dots. Just picture this. You're in a meeting, okay? And while everyone else is still talking about the surface details of a problem, your brain has already jumped like 5 steps ahead. It's connecting this issue to 3 other things from the past, and it's already seeing where this is all likely headed. Now that's super efficient. But for everyone else in the room, it can make them feel like they're miles behind, and it can accidentally shut down their own thinking process. All right, next up, that constant need to ask why. And then, but why again? Look, this isn't about being difficult or argumentative. It comes from a genuine, deep-seated need to understand things at their absolute core. But if you're the one presenting an idea, all that probing can really feel like someone's attacking your work, when all they're really trying to do is find the truth. And the last piece of this puzzle, it's this tendency to take emotion right out of the equation to get to the objective facts. In a tough situation or a debate, focusing only on the data is an amazing tool for solving problems. But in a conversation with other people, it can so easily come across as cold, or like you just don't care about how anyone else is feeling. And this right here, this is where it all gets lost in translation. What people see on the outside, someone who seems aloof, argumentative, or cold, is actually a reflection of what's happening on the inside: mental isolation, nonstop overthinking, and a desperate search for what's real. And it's that disconnect we're really digging into today. So let's walk across that bridge now. Let's move away from how highly intelligent people are seen and focus on how they actually feel. Because this is where the real weight is, in those internal struggles that often happen in complete silence. First up, and this one it's a heavy one. It's a heightened sense of existential awareness. And we're not talking about just a passing thought here. For some, it's a constant state of grappling with life's biggest, scariest questions. It's that feeling when you look up at the night sky and you're not just seeing pretty lights. You're feeling the unbelievable scale of the universe, you're aware of the fragility of your own life, and you're wrestling with the search for meaning in it all. It can be a profoundly lonely place to be. And the fallout from this, it's huge. It can feel like this crushing weight of responsibility for all the world's problems. Or, on the flip side, it can make it incredibly hard to find any real meaning in the small, everyday things that seem to make other people happy. Okay, number 2. This is something a lot of us can probably relate to, but for some, it's turned all the way up to 11. We're talking about chronic overthinking. I mean, this is replaying a totally normal conversation from hours ago, picking apart every single word choice. It's mapping out every single possible future from one tiny decision, until your brain just feels completely fried. It is absolutely exhausting. So remember that deep, relentless questioning we mentioned earlier? Well, this is what it looks like on the inside. The exact same mental hardware that's amazing at solving complex problems, it just doesn't have an off switch. So it treats everything like a problem to be solved. And that can lead to so much anxiety and just burnout. And that brings us to our third big internal struggle. And this one really hits where it hurts, socially. It's the feeling of being totally mentally isolated, even when you're in a room full of people. You know the feeling? You're there, you're smiling, you're nodding along about the weather or sports, but inside, you feel like an anthropologist studying a totally foreign culture. You're just craving a little bit of depth that the small talk just can't provide.
And that gap, man, that gap is everything.
Your mind is wrestling with these huge, complex ideas, and the conversation around you is about something so simple. And trying to bridge that massive chasm in real time is so hard that, honestly, it often feels way easier to just stay quiet.
So what do we do with all this? How do we connect these two different worlds, the inside and the outside? Well, it all starts with realizing that they're basically reflections of each other.
And here's the key, the big aha moment. The very things that can make other people feel intimidated, the fast connections, the deep questions, they are born from the exact same mind that feels so isolated by its own depths. The outside perception and the inside feeling, they are literally two sides of the very same coin. So if any of this is hitting home for you, I really want you to hear this. Your internal experience is absolutely real, and it is valid. You are not the only one who feels this way, not by a long shot. Your mind just has a different operating system. It's not broken. And just understanding that for yourself and maybe for others, that's the real first step toward finally building a connection. Which really leaves us with one last question to think about. If this is you, how can you share your inner world a little more gently? And if it's not you, how can you meet deep thinkers with a bit more curiosity instead of judgment? Because building these bridges, that's on all of us, and it's a conversation that's absolutely worth having.